When Larry Fink from Blackrock announced the Bitcoin price of dollars per Bitcoin, many people simply couldn't believe it. But now something has happened in the background that could prove Larry Fink right much faster than most people think. Because the biggest Bitcoin supply shock of all time may have just begun, this means that the path to a Bitcoin value of dollars per Bitcoin, as Larry Fink from Blackrock has predicted, or even to $1 million, could be shorter than you might imagine. We saw that Bitcoin reached a new all-time high and broke through the $123,000 per Bitcoin mark. In the process, shorts worth $1.3 billion were liquidated. At the same time, major institutions and ETFs bought 22 times more Bitcoin than was newly mined, and one of the largest Bitcoin buyers, a leading Bitcoin treasury company, made some exciting statements in the news, saying that the short sellers were liquidated by the rise in Bitcoin and that we are now in a phase of price development, similar to November, when Bitcoin rose from $70,000 to $90,000 within just a few weeks.
You start to see that build up, and as they got blown out while Bitcoin surged, you enter this price discovery phase. If you look back to November, we went from 70,000 to 90,000 in about 2 to 3 weeks, and 70,000 was a new all-time high. What we're watching now is that we've broken through that $110,000 range, which was the previous all-time high. I don't know if it goes to 140, but it's definitely going to make a big move here because we're truly in a price discovery phase. And how much of this do you think at this point is being driven by ETFs, or do you think it's really more about individuals buying the underlying asset? Well, the reason I call it the greatest show on Wall Street is that everyone wants Bitcoin. This is no longer a contrarian trade. It's a consensus trade now. So you have the ETFs, you have the Bitcoin treasury companies, you have retail, you have sovereign wealth funds. Everybody wants Bitcoin.
Remember, there are only 21 million Bitcoin. States, ETFs, companies, and pension funds all want to buy Bitcoin. Central banks are buying Bitcoin through proxies. The Czech Republic is also considering introducing Bitcoin as a strategic reserve and is investing in Coinbase. Despite the skepticism from European Central Bank Chief Christine Lagarde, Bitcoin has just become the 8th largest currency in the world. Just take a look at the names on this list here. There are some real heavyweights on it, like the British pound or the Taiwan dollar. These huge currencies are now competing with Bitcoin, but Bitcoin just keeps doing what it has always done, and it's only a matter of time before it becomes the largest asset in the world. Even the White House is posting memes about Bitcoin and has said number go up. Now, let's get back to the short squeeze. Bitcoin shorts were liquidated in a very short period of time. But what's even more shocking is the growing short interest not only in Bitcoin, but also in MicroStrategy. The shorts on MicroStrategy are increasing every day, and I bet it's only a matter of time before they're all wiped out. Remember one important thing? There are many experts who bet on a falling Bitcoin price and always promote that idea. We'll talk more about that in a moment. And if you listen to these experts, you will lose. There were even experts who in 2022 bet that Bitcoin would fall to $1. And these people are still shorting Bitcoin at every opportunity?
There is no intrinsic value to this asset, and now it's starting to be priced appropriately. So it has what's Bitcoin at 16,000? It has another 17,000 to go down.
And basically, you need to understand one thing. Those who bet on falling Bitcoin prices are pro-fiat currencies and not pro-Bitcoin. And these experts or these guys never admit that they're wrong. They're just bluffers. Basically, no one knows the Bitcoin price in the short or medium term, long term. That's a different story. That's another matter. Bitcoin keeps rising forever to the upper right, much higher than most people suspect. But today, it's about why this bull run is just getting started. The squeeze basically from dollar and pro-Bitcoin was really just the prelude. It's going to be bumpy over the next 6 to 12 months, but we're in the early phase of a multi-year boom. What makes me optimistic is that Bitcoin is strongly correlated with the global money supply, which is growing aggressively. Central banks in the US, Europe, and China are printing money like crazy. Bitcoin benefits the most. Remember, when money is being printed, what happens to your fiat money then? To the dollar? To the euro? It keeps losing more and more value. So when the price of Bitcoin keeps rising and rising, is that just a sign of how broken the whole system is? And what does that mean for most people then? They will have to pay higher prices for many other things in their lives. Even if people are now happy that the price of Bitcoin, for example, has risen to dollars per Bitcoin, or maybe to 150,000, 200,000, or as Larry Fink from Blackrock predicts, rises to dollars per Bitcoin.
It would be 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 per Bitcoin.
That is just a sign that the system, the financial system we are in, is not working well, and it's not getting any better. And if we now see another increase in Bitcoin of $5,000 to $6,000, that could trigger the next short squeeze. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF is exploding right now. Larry Fink from BlackRock is expecting dollars per Bitcoin. The former CEO of Binance is predicting $500,000 to $1 million per Bitcoin in this cycle. What do you think the price of Bitcoin will top out at this cycle? Again, a very difficult question. Somewhere between 500,000 and a million, I think. The Bitcoin ETFs together hold over $140 billion in assets. BlackRock's fund has grown by almost $90 billion in just 1 year. Previously, there was no Bitcoin ETF. Now it's among the top 20 worldwide, and massive amounts of money are flowing in, as we can see. The options expired at the end of the second quarter. The downward pressure on Bitcoin is gone. And what's even crazier is that Bitcoin keeps getting withdrawn from crypto exchanges and it doesn't stop. And what we can see with the ETF assets, IBIT, the BlackRock fund is totally dominating and keeps extending its lead further and further. And that's not going to stop. And what's fascinating is that more and more money is flowing into these ETFs, and companies are hoarding Bitcoin in their treasuries, and the higher the price rises, the more people jump on the bandwagon. Currently, there are 148 publicly traded companies, plus 25 new ones in the last 30 days. That means almost every day there's a new company investing in Bitcoin. The trend is accelerating. ETFs hold 1.4 million Bitcoin. Public companies hold 860,000 Bitcoin. Congratulations to MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor. They now have over 600,000 Bitcoin. Remember, with Bitcoin, time in the market beats timing the market. The 10 best days each year outperform the rest of the year. For example, in 2013, 700% gains happened on those days on average. 70% per day in Bitcoin almost doubled, and that happened 10 times. And do you remember Peter Zeihan, who said that Bitcoin has no value? At the time he said that, Bitcoin was at $16,000 per Bitcoin. So don't trust any expert, because experts often have no idea what they're talking about. They don't understand money, they don't understand Bitcoin. You may not even want to understand it. They don't understand economics, as we can see in Germany. At Maurice Höfgen,
No,
Bitcoin is not, especially not for an economy as a whole, the way out of inflation. Peter Bofinger or Marcel Fratscher, who basically talk against Bitcoin all the time, don't listen to these experts. They only prevent you from building financial freedom through Bitcoin, because Peter Zeihan and Maurice Höfgen, Peter Bofinger and Marcel Fratscher are all typical Keynesians. They are in favor of unlimited money printing. They support modern monetary theory, meaning unlimited money printing. And nothing against them, that's simply their position. But they just don't understand Bitcoin. And that's my biggest warning for this bull run. Don't listen to people who present themselves as experts and try to stop you from buying Don't sell your Bitcoin just because of some lines on a chart either. And that's exactly what a lot of people are going to fall for. They'll do exactly that because they listen to confident people who use math and science to claim to predict where the price is going. But just like with Peter Zeihan, confidence, apparent intelligence, and credibility mean nothing. Bitcoin doesn't care about the lines on the charts, and Bitcoin ignores outdated university degrees. Some so-called experts who have published books that are completely useless. Bitcoin ignores outdated university degrees. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Basically, no one really knows how to perform. And my advice to you is, don't sell your Bitcoin just because there's a weird line on some chart. It's best not to sell your Bitcoin at all and do what Michael Saylor suggests. Eventually lend your Bitcoin to banks in order to build up credit, because we live in a debt-based economy. Remember, this bull run is going to be huge. Bigger than most people can imagine. The market will be unpredictable. Big players like BlackRock and central banks have already filled their bags and are continuing to add more. And who knows how high the price will shoot up once they get started. And I believe we haven't seen a real bull market since 2017. 2020 and 21 weren't real ones. Bitcoin was under attack, the price was suppressed. China banned Bitcoin mining, Tesla and Elon Musk criticized Bitcoin. There was the big ESG attack on proof of work, the World Economic Forum, BlackRock, everyone was against Bitcoin at that time. We need to understand one thing. If Bitcoin repeats the bull run of 2017, we'll see a Bitcoin price of $2 million per Bitcoin by March 2026. That sounds crazy, but remember, in 2017 it went from $1,000 per Bitcoin to $20,000 in 9 months, a 20-fold increase. And today that would mean over $2 million per Bitcoin. And I'm not saying it will happen, but prepare yourself mentally in case it does. The triggers in 2024 and 25 are just as big or even bigger than in 2017. Back then it was only retail investors getting in. Now the big players are getting involved and we need them for another 20-fold jump. Bitcoin's market capitalization is now much, much larger. The law of large numbers applies. It takes more capital to move the price now, but don't forget about the supply side. Today, there is much less Bitcoin for sale than in 2017. And just take a look at the amounts on the crypto exchanges. They've been dwindling since 2020. That amplifies the multiplier effect, and I believe many will suffer shipwreck in this bull market. Bitcoin is currently just under $120,000 per coin. We've had a great run, folks. I'm just saying be careful now. If you're new to Bitcoin, buy using dollar cost averaging. Nothing goes straight up. Bitcoin typically has 20 or 30% corrections during a bull market. Remember that. And we could see that Bitcoin has risen from $79,000 to just under $124,000 per Bitcoin. And who knows when the Bitcoin price will take a break, but it will probably happen at some point. And I encourage you, learn about Bitcoin, keep buying Bitcoin using dollar cost averaging. And if you want to learn about Bitcoin and crypto, click the link in the description below the video. And also, if you want to store your Bitcoin and crypto securely offline. I wish you a wonderful day.